Grab a six pack, sit back and prepare to laugh. It's Drunk Dash Nerds podcast. Grab a six pack, sit back and prepare to laugh. It's Drunk Dash Nerds podcast. Grab a six pack, sit back and prepare to laugh. It's Drunk Dash Nerds podcast. Grab a six pack, sit back and prepare to laugh. It's Drunk Dash Nerds podcast. Sit back and get back and get back and get grab a six pack, sit back and get back and get back and get grab a six pack, sit back and get back and get back and get grab a six pack, sit back and get back and get back and get grab a six pack, sit back and prepare to laugh. It's Drunk Dash Nerds podcast. Grab a six pack, sit back and prepare to laugh. It's Drunk Dash Nerds podcast. Grab a six pack, sit back and prepare. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 237 of the Drunk Dash Nerds podcast. I'm your host, as always. I am Tyler. And joining me, we have the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sir Colonel Gables. What's up, buddy?
I got myself a PS3.
Nice. Welcome to the current generation.
I know. I know people obviously poke fun at me because I love to go back and play older games, but to be perfectly honest, other than work and doing all the same rigmarole stuff, I decided to go forth and just get my PlayStation 3 that I got on a layaway. So basically what this PS3 is a Model 3. It's the one that has a slide top on it. So while I was looking at the pawn shop, I was trying to see if there was basically a model that looked like the newest that looks like in fairly decent condition. I found only a couple of PS3s, but this one, I paid about $90 altogether. It wasn't so bad in look and design. It basically looks like it's barely been even played, to be perfectly honest with you. Maybe a couple of games here or there, but it runs pretty smoothly. I mean, some of the UI stuff, when you go on the PlayStation Store, it's basically slow anyway, Not to mention, the certain things with the XMB, kind of loading kind of a little bit slowly, but that's basically on Sony's end and not more or less the console itself. But I have yet to use the disk drive with some of the games that I've gotten for the device. So as far as games go, I picked up Metal Gear Solid 4, which that has definitely been the game I've been wanting to replay. It's almost getting towards the 10-year anniversary of when I first played that game and beat it. Other than that, I picked up 2 additional games. One of them was the God of War package, this God of War Saga, which has 5 games in one. Quintessentially, you get God of War 2, God of War 3, and the PSP games that were later ported to the PS3, which is Chains of Olympus and Ghosts of Sparta. So quintessentially, I got all except for Ascension, which I could either give or take if I want to play or not. And last but not least, I ended up investing and finding Red Dead Redemption for dirt cheap. So, since that game isn't available anywhere else, and it's definitely was one of my best games from the last generation, I decided to pick it up. Oh, but yeah, that's pretty much what I've been doing, pretty much in a nutshell. How have you been doing, Tyler?
Doing all right. Can't tell in the voice, really, or you might hear it throughout the show. It's a little thrash right now. I was telling Gables for the show. Justin and I went. Justin's not here, by the way. Justin and I went and saw the Foo Fighters last night in concert, and I'm pretty sure I screamed and sang as loud as I could, along with them, the entire 3 hours or so of it. So I've been resting my voice all day, trying to keep talking to a minimum.
Man.
Drinking coffee and just anything really that helps soothe the vocal cords a little bit here. Little hungover today. Kind of part of the course, Yeah. Sorry. You might hear Louie in the background. He's playing right now. He's got his BarkBox vacuum cleaner toy that he's playing with. So, sorry about that in advance. But yeah, no, other than that, I'm doing okay. A little tired. Sleeping schedule's still off from last weekend.
Right.
And I'll just jump right into it. Fuck it. So Extra Life was last weekend. You guys, if you've been listening, you guys all knew we've been talking about it for a couple months now. I've been talking about sporadically over all year now.
Um, but we did that. It was the whole 25. It was 25-hour long marathon. Uh,
Yes.
all the money goes to Extra Life. It helped Extra Life helps sick kids. All the money we raise goes towards Children's Miracle Network hospitals. You could pick the hospital in America and Canada, and any money you raise goes to them. All the money I earn goes to Iowa City. All the money that Gables earns goes to Seattle.
Children.
Yep, sorry, Seattle's Children's Hospital. So yeah, extra-life.org if you're interested in looking into that. You can still sign up and you can still play and donate through the end of the year, and then next year we'll start a whole new one, start all over again. But I figure we can just kind of talk about what we played, how it went. How we'll start with Gables. How overall would you do, and kind of how things work out for you with like playing and staying awake and all that shit.
Well, let's see. For the times that I did manage to go through and play games towards Extra Life, it actually was a pretty positive experience. I spent most of my time with both you and a friend of ours, Nerves, from the Talking Ship. Oh my god, those were some funny moments and stuff. I think you were playing a little bit of Assassin's Creed Origins a bit, plus you and Nerves finished up a bit of like Destiny 2 stuff. At least Tim, for the first time, actually went through and finished Destiny 2. But but what I ended up going through was I decided to start off a little bit by playing... Oh, gosh. This is going to be a little bit of things to remember. I started off by playing Resident Evil 4, I think. It's one of the ones I remember anyway, but Resident Evil 4 was when I started off with, and I played a couple hours of that, then I tried going through and playing a little bit of Loco Roco HD, which, you know what, it was fun. It was fun, and it definitely gave me a little bit of nostalgia for the PSP when I had that originally, but playing it during that time of the day, which was getting close to about 2 o'clock in the afternoon at that point, I felt like I was going to fall asleep while playing it, because we were talking in the chat, and all of a sudden it's like I started getting relaxed a bit, and it's like, yeah, I gotta stop playing this game, man. I'm fucking gonna go to sleep. But I switched away from that, and I ended up like... I think I ended up going out at that point because I had to do a couple of errands. We had to get stuff to eat and stuff. Oh man, I'm just thinking about that fucking Jimmy John's sandwich too, man. That was some good tuna shit.
That's
delicious.
Not
dude,
tuna shit, but Jimmy John's.
I know. Jimmy John's in general, man, they have some great sandwiches. But
be good.
When I came back, I ended up playing a bit of Rocket League with you guys. Let's see, with what I mean by you guys, is basically Tyler and the rest of like the Talking Ship crew that we got gathered together.
Yep.
I think at one point we tried playing some games with some of the guys like on PC, and that didn't really go over. That didn't really go so well as we had sort of confusion.
Yeah, it took us a while.
Room.
Yeah, you can do like the crossplay on PS4 and PC for Rocket League, and it took us like 15 minutes to figure out how to get into a group together. And
at that point, and so we played like 2 matches, and then we fucking just left Rocket League.
Everybody left, and then it was just me and this other guy playing on the PC, and I felt kind of bad, but yeah, we basically spent more time trying to figure out how to play a game with them than we actually played with them. But yeah, we played that for a few hours, and it's kind of like it's almost like turned into a yearly tradition now with Extra Life. Is late in the evening we play a few hours of it. I remember last year, actually, we were playing it until like 2 or 3 in the morning, and then the servers went down for maintenance, and that was the only reason.
Oh my god, yeah.
So
yeah, I remember that too. It's like during that time, I think we played like about a good solid 2 or 3 hours of Rocket League that night too, and then once everybody else started scattering, doing their own shit, I decided to do something that I hadn't done like in a while. I popped on Mega Man Legacy Collection, and I decided to play through the entirety of the original Mega Man. That's like a tradition for me, where it's like in the middle of the night, if I'm doing Extra Life stuff, it's like I tend to gravitate towards a game that I want to see if I can finish in a night. last time I did that was when I played through the entirety of Limbo on the PS4. That was back around 2015. And this time I actually did manage to beat the entirety of Mega Man. But it took me like about 2.5 fucking hours, dude. And during that time, it's like all of us were like, all of us were chatting, all of us were talking and stuff, trying to keep each other awake.
Yeah.
I believe at one point and stuff, we had a friend Wes that came on. Dude, he's a friend of Talking Ship and a friend of like the Drunk Dash Nerds podcast, obviously. But it's like just hearing his stories while we're playing games, while we're just chilling, relaxing. You know, hearing about how he wants to play like our buddy Nerves and stuff like that with his fucking arcade stick and all the other shit.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh! But just that whole What's
no,
up, Tyler?
Sorry, I was just like I just popped my head like at one point in time. This is like middle of the night. Like a lot of it is just like a blur, and it's almost like a drunken experience where you're just like thinking like, oh wait, did that happen? Oh yeah, that how the hell? Like somehow we end up talking about like Canadian folklore.
That's right, because I brought up a bunch of fucking Canadian folklore and stuff because here's the thing, during the little brief lull of about an hour or something while I was going and try to choose what I was going to play next, I went through and like just talking with like you and like a couple of the guys and stuff like that for like Canadian folklore.
Yeah.
Apparently there are like Canadian folklore like creatures like which I had no idea this was Canadian folklore, but we went over things like the Ogopogo and like all the other shit where it's like in the British Columbia portion of like Canada and stuff, and it got up on the conversation of, hey, let's try to see if we can find a squirrel god or something like that, you know? It was just some random bullshit. And at one point, I remember our conversation like during the middle of the night where it's like you guys started quoting like movie quotes along with like specific songs and stuff, and all of a sudden it's like I basically made our friend Sam crack up so bad when I just went ahead and just told him, it's like, oh, tell me more, does he look like a bitch?
That's right. I forgot all about that, yeah.
And it's like, it was just hearing him laugh hysterically in his like tired stupor as he's been playing games with our friend Justin and stuff. It's like,
I think
God.
Dave was doing like Christopher Walken. He was quoting Fast and the Furious movies as Morgan Freeman.
Yes.
Which was pretty funny. When you're in a chat with people for like 25 straight hours, eventually you just start talking about weird shit, especially when you've been up, 20 hours or so at that point.
It'll happen.
You run out of things to talk about after a while. Like sometimes it's hard to just do an hour-long show on this podcast. Imagine sitting there just making general conversation with people for 20 hours.
A lot of which you probably don't speak with a lot too in the general like a week,
Yeah, so it was something. Yeah, there was a bunch of us there. There was about 4 or 5 of us in a party chat in those in the middle of the night that stuck around. You, Nerves, Sam, and then different Justin was in there too. They were all participating.
Oh man, I'll tell you what though, it's like, while we were talking and stuff, me having gone through like the entirety of the original Mega Man, and after spending like endless attempts, I went through all the Robot Masters. I went through like the Wily stages, right? But I kept dying. Like on the Wily stages because of my fucking perception and my hand-eye coordination were starting to slag a bit because of how tired I was at that point. I spent the good entirety of like the 1 to 2 o'clock hours, man, just like almost feel like I was dead, man. I was just, and it was so funny. I started getting so relaxed to the point where I was facing off against my doppelganger inside of the Wily stages in Mega Man, and I ended up discovering that there's a fucking like little glitch or something like that when you equip the Elect Man's item and you go in the corner to start shooting at the damn clone that you can pretty much kill him. And I had been trying for like a good solid 10 minutes just to get him with everything else. It's like, okay, how am I gonna do it this time? It's like, then finally, once I defeated Dr. Wily and stuff, after that time, man, I just started talking with you guys a little bit, and I just clocked out around 3 a.m. I mean, at that point, I spent a good solid 12 hours with you guys or so, at least. off and on for like 12 or 13 hours. And at that point, man, it was like 3 a.m. I basically could not go on anymore at that point. And that's the thing. I had to start late, too, because I had to go out and, like, do some errands and shit. So I couldn't start, like, at 4 a.m. like I wanted. I ended up starting, like, around noon. Which, holy shit, I do not ever want to do that again.
Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, it definitely would have been a better just to start really early, then take like a couple hour break or something like that in between for stuff. But overall, man, it's like this Extra Life was pretty much a successful one, in my honest opinion.
Yeah.
Play some games, raise some cash and stuff, and everything else seemed to fit in from there. So, what were you playing though, Tyler?
During it, for the most part, I played. I played the two big ones I played the most was Madden and what you like always Madden's probably the one I play the most, and Assassin's Creed Origins. The cool thing you go in, it's something I forget about every year, and I don't really like. I get 3 months go by, and you're just like you don't think about it, or I underestimate it every year about how tough it is.
Yeah.
And the fact that about hour 12 to 14, you kind of want to just stop playing games, and then by like hour like 16, 18, you just absolutely hate video games. And plus you're being really fucking tired. But the night before, I didn't get a lot of sleep. I only slept like 5 hours. I was just too excited. And I woke up early, and my plan was to start around 8 or 9 my time. Ended up waking up like 5:30 in the morning and started at 7, which I think actually I might just do that every year now. Just start earlier. Seems to be a little better. I'll try to go to bed earlier the night before though. But I played a bunch of Zelda. Or Zelda? What? No.
You played Zelda?
I don't, dude. I'm delirious still. Sorry. I don't.
You played a bunch of Mario Odyssey. I
played some Mario Odyssey. I collected a bunch of Power Moons. But no, I played a bunch of Madden at the beginning, and then the thing that it's like you need to be in a party. I think when you do this, like doing this by yourself is really tough, especially in the middle of the night and after those long stretches. You need someone to talk to, break it up. I couldn't imagine doing this whole thing in silence.
That would drive somebody crazy after about a couple hours,
Yeah, I remember one year having like internet issues, so I had to like play the majority of Extra Life with no internet, and I played. That's when I played a bunch of Evil Within. The thing that sucks about it, I mean, overall, I'd rather be in a party chat, but the downside is when you're trying to play like a game with like a storyline and with especially like a single player focused game with a really in detailed storyline like Wolfenstein 2. I was trying to play a bunch of that.
Yeah.
It's tough to do when in party chat. You're trying to talk to people and also pay attention. So I forget about that a lot. Like I'm gonna play this, and this, and then you like get in and you're like, well, I want to kind of chit chat, but I also want to play this game. So like at one point we thought Nerves fell asleep, but yeah, because he was gone for like 2 hours. But in fact, he just like took his mic off and took his headphones off and everything, and finished up Uncharted 4 because he wanted to pay attention to the story, which totally makes sense. And there's a bit in there where I didn't have it. Like I was the only one in the party, so I wasn't actually talking to anybody. So I played a few hours of Wolfenstein 2. But yeah, I ended up playing mostly Madden, Rocket League, and I think this is the perfect game to play during Extra Life if you're going to be in a chat with people. It's like an open world type game, and I think Assassin's Creed Origins saved me this year. I'm glad. I was on the fence about buying it because I didn't want to buy it when I'm trying to play all these other games. But I'm glad I did because I spent about 6 hours during Extra Life playing it. The majority of that was I think I played it the last 5 hours of Extra Life. I played Assassin's Creed. And I didn't really I just did like the main prologue story stuff you have to do to start the game off. And then I just did side quests, like meaningless side quests and leveling up. Didn't do any main stories during that. And that was just perfect, going around, sneaking around, going up, synchronizing with the, when you do like the eagle thing or whatever. So, and then, just doing like meaningless, dumb little side quests where the story doesn't matter. Or what the hell is it? Like, go here, kill this guy, and you're done. I'm like, all right, cool, perfect. I can do that. Overall, it was a lot of fun. It's miserable. Like I said, about hour 16 or 18, you hate video games. Like I didn't play any games for almost 2 days afterwards. Like I didn't think I played another game until Tuesday afternoon. And I got over.
That's like completely different than what I did, man. It's like I played all that time during Saturday, and then all of a sudden Sunday, I woke up and like near the end of the day or something, I played a little bit of something.
Yeah.
And then like, oh my gosh, I think it was like Monday night. I actually streamed for an hour and a half playing games like Laylee, which that's another one I did buy and play during that time and stuff. But dude, it ended up leading me to a couple days after just really trying to get into Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
And oh my god, dude. I mean, if not for Extra Life and the fact I downloaded Resident Evil 4 and just started playing that, and like, I think, yeah, I did play a little bit of Resident Evil 6.
That's
yeah.
right. Dude,
that's right, I did play a little bit of Resident Evil 6.
I
just remember that repressed memory.
Yeah, I remember you playing that, and I'm just like, I told him I'd do it, but like, it was like it was like 19 hours in, and I'm just like, I can't do it, man. It's like, I don't want to play. Like, I'm playing a game I really enjoy playing right now, and I hate playing it. Like, there's no way I can play one of the worst games of all time to me at this point. Like, you're playing, I'm just like, no, I'm not doing it. Like, maybe at 9 in the morning, but not 1 in the morning. All right, fuck that. Oh man. Yeah.
I basically went through like one chapter of Chris's campaign and stuff. And I basically got to a point on the 3rd chapter of Chris's campaign. I ran out of ammo. I could not pick up any ammo for specific weapons. And I was just basically stuck trying to go and progress and run through this damn stage. And when I couldn't, I turned it off.
Yeah, welcome to the like one of the biggest issues with Resident Evil 6 and the fact it's a bad game is they want to make it Gears of War, but they also want to be Resident Evil. So everything's a bullet sponge, but we're not gonna give you any ammo. So that was like I went through it like a good chunk of that game, just like roundhouse kicking people to the finish line.
Yep.
Yeah. But no, it was fun. I hated it. I love it's like I said, I always say it's my least favorite day of the year, and I went through all the emotions of why that is so. I'm really happy it's over, but I still can't wait to do it again next year. So
yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you.
Yeah, so they just announced this morning that they're over $8 million raised so far this year.
Wow.
I think they said they're about 800K or 800K ahead of where they were at this time last year. So that's cool. So I think last year they raised over 10 million. So it'd be cool if they get 10 million again this year. I think this is also the second most people signups in a year. So that's good. Yeah, but overall we did, not only for actually we played a lot of games, yeah, but I beat a game. I beat 2 games actually, and I started a new game. I already talked about them. I'm gonna kind of talk a little more about them real quick. I finished up Telltale's Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay.
Episode 5 finally came out this past Tuesday. I actually played episode 4 the day before, and then played episode 2. Actually, no, that's right. I played Guardians of the Galaxy on Monday, and that was like the only that was the first game I played, and it's barely a game. And that was like as much as I can stand at that point on Monday. But yeah, finished it up. Everybody knows I pretty much buy everything that's Telltale. I played every single thing they've released since Walking Dead Season 1, except for the Minecraft stuff. I haven't played that, just I'm not a Minecraft guy, so I don't have no interest in it. But it's really good. I think they went for the kind of the movie style, the Guardians of the Galaxy, so a lot of 80s nods, a lot of really good music. It kind of reminded me of some Borderlands-esque, where like there's a lot of music montages in it. The humor's really good. The characters are great. Yeah, so it's not. I don't know if I would if I had like one of these days I'm going to do a ranking for like my favorite Telltale seasons. But I don't know if it'd be the top 5, but it's pretty close. I would say it's good. If you're a big Telltale fan or you're a big Guardians of the Galaxy fan, check it out because I think it's pretty comparable to those. But yeah, it was really good. It's just there's I've seen their peak and when they're great ones, and it's not quite there. But overall, it's really enjoyable. So I would say if you, like I said, if you're a fan of Telltale or Guardians of the Galaxy, definitely check it out. I think I've seen it on sale a few times. It was weird. It was like normally a season pass is like $25, $5 an episode. This one was like I got it for like I bought the season pass, like pre-ordered the season pass. It was like $16.
Wow.
So I basically got 2 episodes for free. That was a while ago. I mean, I'm sure you can find about the same price now. But it's kind of weird. But yeah, overall, it's really good. Next up, Wolfenstein 2. Finished that up. Holy fucking shit, man. That game goes some places and does some things that I didn't think they would go. It's one of the better stories in a game I think I've ever played.
Wow.
As far as like the series, like I talk about, like there's like cutscenes where like you're laughing like hysterically, and there's like this stupid moment, and then the next one you're like, oh my god, like that was crazy, in like a serious way, and it like they just one up themselves every like hour, every cutscene, especially in the last probably third of the game, second half of the game or so. Just gets crazier and crazier, and I don't know how they can top it if there is Wolfenstein 3. I hope there is. Yeah, I thought it was great. It definitely is. We played. It was made in the Doom engine, so it kind of has a lot of that Doom feel to it. So like you don't want to stop. The only key difference is it has some stealth stuff to it, which I use quite a bit. But once you're in a firefight, man, you can't, you stop, you die basically, because you lose health fast. It's like I said, I said last week, it's really hard. It's extremely difficult. I talked a lot last week, but overall, yeah, it's fantastic, and it gets better as it goes. It ages like a fine wine, the more you play that game. So I implore anybody that likes video games in any sense at all, like, play this game. It's awesome. They do a good job. If you haven't played New Order, they do a pretty good job of recapping it in the first cutscene of the game. And maybe watch a YouTube video on it if you want to catch up on it. But yeah, this game is, yeah, it's fantastic. It's gonna be in my game of the year contender for sure. It was great. Just the story alone is game of the year contender, let alone a really awesome game on, like, gameplay wise on top of that. So yeah, if you want to hear more about it, I went more detailed last week. But the other thing I played is, I talked about it already, Assassin's Creed Origins. I played about 11 hours of it, and like I said, most of that has been just doing meaningless side quest stuff. But if you've been listening for a while, you know I've got a love-hate thing with Assassin's Creed. I've bitched and moaned, much like Telltale. Like, when they're great, it's great, but when it's bad, it's really bad. Telltale's, I guess, never been really bad. It's just their release schedule shit has been really bad. But as far as quality goes, Assassin's Creed's always been, like, way up and down for me. Like, I love Black Flag, but Assassin's Creed 3 was garbage. Unity was broken. Syndicate was pretty good. Yeah, took the year off. In a weird way, I was kind of hyped for this one. Like, I didn't know how to feel about it. Like, for the first time ever, with a Assassin's Creed game, like, I was like I always just kind of bought them every year, like, instinctively. Just picked them up when they came out, and yeah, like I said, I picked up a few days later. But everybody's been, like, raving about how this feels way different than this is like the year off was big for them. Like, it feels so much different than all the other Assassin's Creed games. I'm playing it, I'm just like, it doesn't really. I mean,
it plays like the previous Assassin's Creed games. Just people are just had a year off of it because they don't remember.
Maybe I don't. I mean, the big thing obviously is the setting. It's great to be out of, like, the European area. We're not in London or anything like that anymore. And I know they tried leaving it prior, with, like, Black Flag. Black Flag worked really well, but that's not, to me, that's not really an Assassin's Creed game. It's Black Flag more than it's Assassin's Creed. And like Assassin's Creed 3, when they left, they went to America. That didn't work out very well either. But yeah, it's great. They're in Egypt now, obviously. This is actually, they're not even, like, it's always been about the Assassins versus the Templars, and this actually is, like, this is the origin story of Assassin's Creed. And You're not even you're an assassin, but they're not called assassins yet. You're a Magi or Magi.
A Magi.
Magi, yeah, thank you. I don't know how the hell did you know that?
What, a Magi?
Yeah. Is that a thing? I don't know. I don't know. Is that really a thing? I just.
Well, there are specific in Egypt. There's like a specific type of like group of like specialized warriors and stuff that were called the Magi.
Oh.
And they were supposed to be responsible, I think, for protecting like important people. I'm thinking whether like kings, queens, or something like that, or like
Oh yeah, that makes sense because
some of the sort.
Yeah, that's right. That makes sense because that's what he actually talks about that in the beginning of the game. I didn't realize it was a real thing. Which makes sense though because they actually try to do a decent job of sticking with the overall. They do like take a lot of liberties with history, but for the most part they try to stick with what actually happened. Like I'm actually I protector of Cleopatra. Yeah, Cleopatra, and she's kind of like your core, like your main person that you work for.
Okay.
But like I said, it's like it's an origin story of like how this all happens. Like you find like the golden apple thing. What the fuck did they call that thing?
The apple of Eden.
Yeah. It's been a while. But yeah, like the core story is that you play as a Bayek, I believe it's his name, Bayek. I think that's how you say it. And he it starts off kind of weird, like where you're like killing a person. And like starts off like basically in the middle of the story, and then over the first few hours of the prologue, it cuts back and it shows you what happened. Basically, this group of guys attack you, and you try to escape with your wife and your kid. And they kidnap your wife and kid as well, and then in the fight, like your kid, his kid gets killed, and it turns to a revenge story basically, where him and his wife Aya are trying to kill all the men that were there, and that's what kind of spurs it more into basically the assassins versus the Templar kind of thing. But yeah, like I said, going back to like what I was saying though, like about the whole being different, like there are definitely elements that like some big key elements are different. Like I feel it's definitely more of a Ubisoft open world game. So you have an eagle that like does like all like the scouting you do. Like you would do like in Far Cry when you had the binoculars and stuff like that, and I think in like Wildlands you had a drone. He's basically that. Senua is her name, the eagle's name, and she'll go through and she'll find like tag all the enemies, tag any items and stuff like that for you. There are cages with like hyenas and lions in it and stuff like that, which you can break open and have them attack the camps, and I've done that quite a few times. But the fucking animals die so easily, man. God, like I opened like 5 of them, and like all these lions came and attacked them, and they killed like 3 guys. And, like,
oh my god!
And there was 8 of them. Like there were 8 guys, and these 5 lions killed 3, and they died. It was great for me because I got a bunch of shit I can use for crafting for it. So that's cool because finding some lion fur and stuff is kind of tough to do in that game.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, and then it also has what was it? I forgot the other thing. But no, it basically you Synchronized thing basically is like the Watchtower shit, which they were like the original thing for that. But the big, I think the most important thing to me that makes it feel different is the fighting. The fighting has always been kind of a slog, where it's like wait for them to attack you, parry, and then counterattack. And then rinse, wash, repeat over and over again. You get surrounded by 20 guys, just do that. It got really boring and repetitive. And this one, they actually changed it up where it's all of the fighting buttons are now on like the right and left trigger. So you put your guard up, you can dodge, you can attack and everything, all with that.
Yeah.
So it feels a lot smoother, and it feels more like kind of you would like a shooter game. All the key buttons are right there, and I like that. The fighting is a lot smoother. There's no longer the whole parry attack thing now. It feels more like I want to say not as good, but like more going towards like a Batman Arkham game.
Okay.
I think the fighting is way better in Batman. Don't get me wrong, but I like that style more than I like the old Assassin's Creed fighting system. So overall, I'm really liking it. Obviously, I put like 11 hours into it. I don't know how much I don't feel like I've touched a lot of the story mode. but it's cool to be back in Assassin's Creed to me, especially it seems so far to be a good Assassin's Creed game. Interesting character. Obviously, I like being in a different area is cool. I'm still. The people going out there saying that it feels like it's a big difference. I don't get it. I'd like to have a conversation with someone that feels that way. I feel like those people haven't played a lot of Assassin's Creeds, or maybe they just jump in here and there, and they haven't played like any of the last couple, or didn't play a lot of it. Because for the most part, it feels the same. Which for me, I'm cool with, because the core elements of Assassin's Creed I like a lot. Pretty much what I'm playing and keep playing that. Might pick up Star Wars Battlefront 2. I'm gonna try Redbox that. I want to play the campaign. It looks good. But other than that, yeah, that's what I got going on. What about you, Gables?
Well, for playing wise, other than from Extra Life, I only had maybe a few times this week that I actually did play something to some extent. Other than playing a little bit of ukulele, which basically what I've done is go through little parts of the first world. The game is really reminiscent to Banjo-Kazooie. I mean, it's not anything too extravagant or anything like that. I mean, it's basically got the same tone. It has the same type of certain character design, certain level structure. The only difference is you can actually expand worlds while you collect the little things called pages, which are the equivalents of jigsaw pieces from Banjo-Kazooie. And you use these pages to expand this world and get all sorts of various other little quests and stuff open to you. You encounter different types of characters in this sort of a pseudo open world sort of level. So once you expand the worlds and stuff, more things are obviously presented to you, new missions, new characters you meet, new different paths you can take in order to get to your goal of collecting all the various pages in each world and stuff. So at the moment, I've only am just at that first initial world because I've been so busy trying to explore little bits of nooks and crannies and stuff like that. But other than ukulele, I've played a little bit more of the Loco Roco HD Remix. I've went through a couple of the worlds, and I know for a fact that I'm starting World 4. I am almost towards the end of the game itself. I've unlocked at least 4 out of the 5 different colored Loco Rocos, which, here's the thing. For those who've played Loco Roco, every time you have a little one, when you start the stage, they sing their own different song in comparison, to each level they go through. When you unlock a different one, the song sort of changes based upon their styles and attitudes and stuff. But of course, they always say little things say with enemies or something. They may little grunts or little cries or something like that if something they know that'll hurt them or something like that just opens and comes into the middle of the field or something like that of a level, or if they are getting in contention or facing off against these little creatures called Moja. The thing about these little Moja is they've invaded sort of the Loco Roco's worlds and stuff like that, and basically have it so where they are just devouring lots of everything and stuff. And so what you're basically doing as a little Loco Roco is exploring each world and trying to earn a little bit more of their worlds back by clearing a bunch of the stages, developing new little Loco Roco houses and stuff like that. It's basically a platformer that only uses the shoulder buttons, so you can press the left or the right shoulder buttons in order to move the stage around. You press them both together to have them jump. Basically, that's just a game where it just uses the shoulder buttons. It's basic, it's fun, and it could be quite challenging, especially when you try to time momentum with jumps. The last game that I've played during this week, I played more Resident Evil 4.
Nice. What'd you buy?
I've bought plenty inside that game, that's for sure. I got a little bit of tips and tricks and stuff from one of my friends who's works with me. He's a coworker. And basically what I did is, the first time I started playing Resident Evil 4 during Extra Life, I was having a blast because I was just going through trying to remember little key parts of the first couple hours of Resident Evil 4 which basically had me run away from a pack of villagers in my first open area, trying to go through and figure out what the hell I'm supposed to do next, and then learning the hard way that the dude with the bag on his head with the chainsaw can actually climb up the damn ladder, and then going through and just basically to behead you if you're not paying attention.
Mm-hmm. Little did you know that was Terry Funk. It's an old wrestling joke for people. I don't know.
Oh my god! You went there with a Chainsaw Charlie reference.
Yeah,
oh
you should have put him on a dumpster and pushed him off the ramp.
Oh my god. Anyway, so going through that area, refiguring out that I have to use the shotgun in order to take out the dude with the bag. I also went through the next area, collected all the blue medallions, got that special Punisher rifle, that special Punisher pistol, which is so much better than the original pistol. I ended up learning that the original pistol and the Red 9 pistol, you got to avoid those. So I basically have it to where my weapon inventory right now is I have the rifle with the scope, I have a shotgun, and also I have the Punisher pistol. Now, keep in mind, a lot of this game, I'm basically blind to. I never beat it. I've only went to a specific part of maybe chapter 3 or chapter 4, which is pretty early in that damn game.
Yeah.
So, I went over to the lake after going through the various rigmarole. I started shooting fish inside the lake. That's the thing. I know that if you shoot specific animals or something inside this game, that they'll drop items, they'll drop ammo, they'll drop little things like that. So when I started shooting fish, I was just it says, oh, okay, I can shoot the fish. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. After the 5th fish I killed in the pond, the big old fucking oh my god, that big old fucking monster fish just came out of the damn lake and just ate me alive. Now, had I not saved at that point, I would have had to retrek myself back. But I found a typewriter, saved before I did that. But I'll tell you what, man, it leads up to one of the most intense boss battles that I've played for a while. I've forgotten how this felt. So, for those who played Resident Evil 4, you'll know what I'm talking about. But the lake monster, you're in your boat, you have a harpoon, and you basically try to shoot the damn thing to the moon. Anyway, the thing about this boss battle that makes it so intense is you basically have a short frame of time in order to hit the damn thing with the harpoons. You don't know whether you're doing damage to the thing because it keeps on coming at you. You get knocked out of the boat. You gotta press the damn buttons rapidly to swim back into the boat while the damn thing is chasing you. It's like, oh no. It's basically what Louie's doing right now in the background. That's basically the sound of Leon running away from actually swimming away from that lake monster. Anyway.
Leon's a half dolphin, I don't know if you know that.
Well, he had to be as fast as he was swimming in that damn pond. But, gone through that battle, man, it was definitely a refreshing take. After doing that, I got that emblem, went back to that place where the graveyard and stuff was at, encountered a pack of fucking mega wolves, which are infected with that damn virus. And that's just something that's fucking creepy, man. It's like, you come back to that graveyard after you've been through it the first time, and it's like, it's all dark, it's all rainy and shit, and all of a sudden you have these damn pack of wolves just come and attack you, and they're fucking huge, they look like damn werewolves, but no. They're basically muscle-bound super wolves that have been infected by that damn virus like all the other villagers. So you have to try to take them out, and they're doing massive amounts of damage if you're not paying attention. So I managed to do that, managed to take them all out, go inside the damn cathedral, or this small church or something like that. I find the president's daughter, go forth, exit the thing, only to be met with a whole slew of fucking villagers. So I had to simultaneously have to set certain things like certain carts on fire in order to push them down the hill, just toppling over any and every fucking villager I could find, race through all of that, race to the village again, having to avoid fucking bear traps, because that's basically how how she died and how I died initially, where I forgot where bear traps were set and basically got caught in them. And man, you do not want to have that Ashley or something like that get caught in the fucking bear trap, because she will lose health so quickly doing that shit. But, oh my gosh, what have I done since? I've went through and I beat that El Gigante, that giant creature that was released by the villagers. That was interesting. That was also an intense battle. So, right now, I have finished Chapter 2. And it's basically where you meet up back with, I think it was Lewis or something like that. You basically fended off against it felt like an entire, like, a horde mode worth of, like, villagers coming through this damn shack. And I gotta admit, though, it's like, after playing that, I feel like I am gonna get back. I am gonna play a little bit more of it. But I'm probably gonna stream some of it when I'm doing it. Because that's basically what I was doing the last time that I played Resident Evil 4, but yeah, that about does it for me playing games for the week.
Very cool, man. I have my mic muted there for a while. Apparently it's Louis Krakauer, and he wants to play. He's currently staring at me with this purple dragon. I'm gonna try not to make eye contact. Oh God, Louis, Daddy's recording right now. Don't. Really? Go lay down. Go lay down, boo-boo. Lay down. All right. Lay down. Be good. He's still staring at me. Okay. Anyways, moving on to news. He's still staring at me. Not too much going on this week. Few things kind of popped up. He walked away. One thing, and this is kind of been going on. I think there was like Philadelphia and a couple other small countries had like a little beta test kind of thing for this. But GameStop has officially announced that they're starting what is called GameStop Power Pass.
Okay. Okay. Before we get into this though, let me just state the obvious. It's like Philadelphia is a country.
Well, yeah, of course it was. No, I meant Phil. Okay, God damn it.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
It's all right. Yeah, that's where Will Smith was born, in the country of Philadelphia, West Philadelphia.
This is where they worship their own country with their leader Donovan McNabb. Yes. Anyway.
Yes. Holy be thy name. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, my bad. So GameStop, damn it, GameStop has this new service they're calling Power Pass. It is a rental service for used games. You can go in there. It's $60 for 6 months. So you have to get 6 months at a time, but $10 a month is how it works out. You can rent one game at a time, keep it as long as you want during the duration of that service you have it for. After the 6 months are up, you get to keep one of those games that you rented in that time. And if you rent it and you like it, you can just you can just pay for it online or whatever. Go back and pay for it, and you can just keep it for yourself if you want to, instead of taking it back, and then you can rent a new game out after that. And the sign up starts on November 19th, and I guess they end on January 31st of next year. So I'm wondering if this is like a trial run they're going to do for a few months and then see how it works out. But I think this is a good idea, I guess, to do for the holiday season. People, kids get money, Christmas money, or buy your kid or grandkid or whatever. It's like there's all these games coming out into the holidays, and there's like you want 20 of them. Well, just here's this, and you can play all the ones you want to play and save us a lot of money. Yeah, I don't know. What were your initial thoughts when you saw this?
Well, initial thoughts that I thought about was they are fucking desperate in order to try to get new people in to play their new games. Actually, not their new games, just like go through and run a bunch of their old games, their pre-owned stuff. Because here's the thing, business-wise, it does not make sense for GameStop. Because you have a clash between the new goods that you want customers to come in and buy in order to try to help your store out. Then you have that clashing with the pre-owned market that you got right there. Because quintessentially, you're undercutting the pre-owned market by paying $60 for the next 6 months, basically, for this trial program. And you are running pretty much what you want. And you have the option, basically, to keep a game or something like that if you do want it. Now, that's not a bad thing. But the fact of the matter is, here's the thing. Over time, you can rent basically any type of game that you want. The thing is, if you have multiple people doing that, the thing about what will happen is that the amount of pre-owned games that you'll have inside, which this is what I'm going to be guessing is going to happen as soon as they start implementing this. The pre-owned games that they have will start to dwindle. They will start to dwindle to the fact that you're probably going to see a lot less in terms of people buying new games from GameStop, and in terms using it as sort of like a system to where they're going to rent a whole bunch of like games, maybe 20, 30 games, possibly. And a lot of them are probably either going to be incredibly low in terms of their buy rate, because they're going to be used to the extent where they're depreciating in value. Mm-hmm. So quintessentially what we have here, let's say, for example, they rent a game that's like $40 or something like that. They get done with it. They give it back to the person at GameStop. Well, now that game is depreciated in value, and it's now like $25. That game gets rented again, it now drops down to maybe 20 or 15 or something like that. So in essence and stuff, how I feel this is going to not be in GameStop's best interest, and how I feel they're going to just basically scrap the whole idea after 6 months, is this is a sort of like a program where two sides are clashing. It's basically going to have people buy less new stuff, less new games from GameStop in general, and focus more upon the pre-owned sort of thing, where it's not going to be... It feels like to me it's not going to be much more of a way to get more people into buying stuff at their store or for renting stuff. It's going to be more or less people with little money or something like that, or cheapskates. You know, basically the people who go forth and just get a whole bunch of stuff, play what they want and stuff, and just use it sort of as like a borrow and like trade sort of thing. But other than that, though, I just feel like it's just a bad idea. What do you think about it, Tyler?
I'm kind of, I guess I'm opposite from you on this one, where I look at it where people getting more pre-owned stuff is exactly what GameStop wants, where they only make a couple dollars off new games, but they make $20 off of you buying a used game, because they buy it in for $30 and they sell for $50. So to me, the way I look at it is, all right, I mean, I'm probably a person that goes to GameStop more than most people do. I go there maybe 8-9 times a year. I don't go there a lot. Usually just trade in game and buy a game. You know, that's, I guess, what everybody does. But that's pretty much, I don't go there. And that's probably more than most people. But the way I look at it is, if say you buy that for somebody, or you buy it and you run out of games, say you get a game every weekend, you're there over 6 months, you could be there 20-25 times. And if you go there and you buy a few other games while you're there, or whatever, or you buy those games as you rent them because you like them that much, then that's more revenue you're bringing in on top of that $60 they're paying for it. So, and then they're more likely going to be buying used games. I think the way they're going to counteract all these people, instead of them just buying 2 games for $80 in 6 months, or maybe over that 6 months they buy 20 games and spend $200 or $300 in that time. So I think I think potentially it can actually work out really well for them in that end. And GameStop is still doing really well. I mean, a lot of people are saying it's not going to be around much longer. People have been saying that for 15, 20 years. And obviously, revenue's down, profits are down, but they're still profitable. And they're not going to be going away anytime soon, I don't think. But they know that times are changing. We're going towards more digital. They don't make as much money off of the new stuff as they used to before. People aren't buying as much new stuff anymore, physically anyways. So this is just another creative way that, like, they bought ThinkGeek. Now you see a lot of toys and T-shirt stuff there now. People bitch and moan about that. But they bitched and moan about all the games they had in there before that and the way they lay out. So people just hate GameStop, I guess. And I've always been more on the pro GameStop because I like buying and trading games in. And this is kind of the only show in town for that. Unless I want to go to a pawn shop, which I really don't want to do because I want to get credit and buy more games with that credit.
Well, I can understand that perspective too. I can understand that perspective too in terms of like, say you want to go more or less to like a GameStop or something like that. You buy like a specific amount of games and stuff. You're not going to keep a lot of them. You trade them in the next credit and stuff in order to get what you want or something. But if you're someone like, if you're say like someone like me or something like that, you'll see this sort of like current thing by GameStop and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to spend $60. I'm going to get the games that I want. I'm going to play that, obviously. But I see it as more as like a just basically sort of like a video, like a gaming rental thing, like GameFly. You know,
well, that's exactly like, what it is. Yeah,
it's basically exactly what it is. Yeah, to where I'll get a bunch of games that are pre-owned, which are pretty close to new releases that probably just went pre-owned like about a week after, and I'm going to go ahead and just play a bunch of them. I'm not even going to spend like any type of money whatsoever. You know, it's like this and that, and that's just one example. That's just one viewpoint from what I'm seeing, though. But I understand where you're coming from, too, Tyler. Because, yeah, it does have potential where it can be pretty good. It can be very beneficial. But, yeah, at the same time, you know, I think it's just one of those type of approaches with how they're viewing this. You know, it's just like, I feel like that GameStop, right at the moment, is just viewing it as, like, a quick way to see if this thing actually sticks on the wall, like philosophically. If they just throw like an idea at the wall or something like that, that'll just stick. Mm-hmm. I just don't feel like this is going to last for more than 6 months. So it's like,
yeah, and I think that's why they're doing this little trial, this 10-week span where you can sign up for it, and they're gonna in June or July, I'm sure when that 6 month span or whatever it's over for everybody. We'll probably find out probably about this time next year. We'll find out if this was successful or not, based off if they bring it back. And this feels like it's just a trial run, maybe just the thing they might do every year for the holidays. I think I like I said, I think it's a pretty good move, especially you look at something like GameFly where that's doing really well. It's been successful for a long time. I've signed up for a few times. Do like $1 one or get you a free month or whatever, or things like that, and it's a good service if you do 2 at a time, I think, but it's like $25 a month, a little pricey, and you have to wait 5-6 days in between each game. So I send a game back on Tuesday, I might not get another game until Monday, and that's based off of like these are like you want to play the most popular. If I want to like get fucking Wolfenstein 2, I mean I'm gonna wait a while for that unless you do some weird trick stuff where you can get a little sooner. But yeah, I think it's gonna undercut them. It's because if I had something like, if I was someone that more like that, I buy most of my games at launch or shortly after launch. Very rarely do I buy games 6 months later. So something like this isn't for me. But if you're somebody that uses like GameFly a lot, you're like, oh, cool, I can just drive up to the GameStop down the street or a few miles away, whatever, and just turn in. I'm done with this game. I can go pick up another game. I got tons of options. The only downside might be the tricky part's gonna be when it's like a new game. So like when Star Wars Battlefront 2 comes out, and then you might get 1 or 2 used copies in the first few weeks. Mm-hmm. How's that gonna work out? That's gonna be a little tough because if I come in there and like I'm gonna rent that, I can rent that game, and then someone comes in and want to buy the game. It's like, oh well, both copies are out being rented right now. It's like, well shit, you just lost $55 there, $50 whatever.
Yep.
That part might be tricky. I'm curious how they're going to handle that. I would think I think the smart move for that would be don't let people rent out games that came out within 30 days maybe, to kind of prevent that. But no, I'm overall pretty positive about it. I should say positive. I'm curious about it, and I think it could potentially, in theory, it should be a positive move for them, and it's going to bring in more people more often, like I said, and that should create more revenue for them, which, yeah, that could be fun. Speaking of, once you keeping revenue high and keeping it coming and keeping it flowing, Take-Two had their earnings report for is it we're in quarter 2 now? Yeah, quarter 2. We're in quarter 3, but for the quarter 2 earnings reports for this year. And one of the things they said is that came up a few times, and it's kind of the term they use for microtransactions is recurrent consumer spending. This is a quote from the CEO of Take-Two. We said that we aim to have recurrent consumer spending options for every title that we put out at this company. Repeating comments from previous earnings calls we talked about a few times before, it may not always be an online model. It probably won't always be a virtual currency model, but there will be some ability to engage on an ongoing basis with our titles after release across the board. So basically, recurring consumer spending is virtual currency, add-on content, and microtransactions. And big thing about this is that 42% of their revenue came off microtransactions over over last year, the 2016, and this quarter they had over $200 million in revenue. 66% of that came off of, they had $443 million in revenue, and over $200 million of that was on microtransactions and online spending, basically. So obviously this is big money for them. They have GTA 5's under their umbrella. GTA 5 has had over $1 billion in microtransactions they've raised, and I'm sure Red Dead Redemption 2 is going to be big money. They also have NBA 2K. NBA 2K is especially, it's been for a long time known how bad it is with transactions, especially this year when they're charging $3.50 for a haircut, $3.50 of real money for a virtual haircut, and things like that. So yeah, kind of times we're moving to. And another weird thing they said I thought was actually really interesting is they care more about how much they make up money off this than do actual sales of games. So basically, they would rather make, they would prefer to sell 10 million copies of games and make a bunch of money off microtransactions than sell 20 million copies of their game and not make any money off microtransactions. Basically, long term, more profitable for them, which makes sense. But yeah, what did you think about this one, Gables?
Man, this definitely reeks of bullshit. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
But I can't argue with the facts that they are making multi-millions of dollars. Take-Two Interactive is making multi-millions of dollars based upon the transactions that have been occurring through games like GTA, like NBA 2K, and like all the other types of deals and stuff. I mean, there's no doubt that these microtransactions are going to be something that they're going to be using going forward, and they're just experimenting with their consumer base, exactly what would actually be worthwhile in order to do that stuff. I mean, we are seeing it right at the moment where, like, you have specific DLC stuff, you got specific things for, like, skins and, like, for model stuff. Hell, even with their WWE 2K18 game, you have, like, accesses and stuff where you can unlock various moves, and it's, like, loot boxes, little microtransaction bullshit, and all this other stuff. What I don't like is the fact that I just don't like the fact that inside the specific games that they're saying, it's like what you were just saying before. They're basically focusing more upon how much they can insert how much microtransactions in a single like game and experience in order to, say, recoup some of the costs of actually developing the game itself. The thing about it is like, hey, it's like you were just saying, going through, they're more focusing on maybe having a game sell like about 10 million copies or something like that, but earn a lot more in terms of microtransaction because, hey, that's pretty much in general a lot of the big gaming companies like business approaches has been currently this year, to where they want to stuff microtransactions in almost any type of gameplay experience through even a single player only game. The full extent of how you're going to enjoy that game is if you have to spend for like specific things, like specific weapons, specific items, or something like that may help you easily go by and just go through your experience a little bit easier. Kind of like a pay to win sort of thing. We've seen evidences of stuff like that for games like Middle Earth, like Shadow of War and stuff. We've seen examples of like a frivolous shit like an NBA 2K18 with buying cosmetic stuff with little bits of pieces here, $3 or something like that for a haircut, things for maybe like a different shader or a different type of top or this or that, it's basically meaningless bullshit. It's basically meaningless bullshit or something like that people are, well, they're testing at the moment to see if people will bite, so that when they get the research data, they're going to go through and they're going to say, okay, this is the specific microtransaction things that they know are going to fetch this and that, But in my personal opinion, I hate this. I absolutely hate this because feel like I'm being looked at from a corporate perspective as a sucker, as a stupid person that is going to mindlessly eat up a lot of what they are going to give to me because it's a game that I enjoy, a game that I like, that they make, and that they know that if they put in a specific type of thing that's going to more or less get me to spend my money, then that's where they're going to loop me in.
Mm-hmm.
A good case and example from a recent game that does something kind of similar with research data to incorporate how they work the psyches of people happens to be Activision. Now, we've known over the past couple weeks from specific types of documents that they've gone to trademark are the options of going through and placing specific gamers against others that are either better than them or worse than them in order to have them sort of get them feeling good or get them feeling like, oh, hey, if we insert this loot box sort of element or something inside of it, that if I see that specific weapon that one person is using, it's like, hey, I want that weapon. I'm going to buy a loot box or something like that and see if I can do that, and do this and do that. But it's also inside that document, it's like you basically have elements almost in mid-game to where you can buy a specific loot box, have it drop out of the sky, and this has actually been confirmed inside this Call of Duty multiplayer game, where it's like, for Call of Duty WW2, there is legitimately a option to where you can buy a loot box. It drops right in the middle of the field while you're playing a match. You get to open the crate. You get all sorts of various little things randomized, because that's how basically they are, randomized. Sort of like a gambling little thing. You're gambling bits of your money in order to basically take a chance upon what you're going to get in this crate. You're going to get the various items and stuff, and if it happens to be a weapon that is going to be beneficial to you during that match, that's going to get the mind of the opponent thinking, oh, hey, if he's getting a good weapon, while, he beat me with that weapon pretty much because he was down for most of the match, why shouldn't I do the same thing? It's that type of logic and stuff like that, which ties into sort of how 2K is the statement that 2K made with how much money they've been making from microtransactions and stuff like that. That type of psychological research and data that these big name companies are doing, that's playing into how much success that these microtransactions are getting. Because here's the thing. Modern gamers, they're apathetic when it comes to specific things in games, specific features in games. A lot of them don't care. A lot of them don't want to go deeper than, say, just picking up the game, playing it maybe once a year, or maybe even playing a handful of games or something like that and have this. The only gamers who seem to care enough about this, that they're going to go forth and maybe talk about it, like, say, how you, Tyler, and I are doing, are pretty much the ones that have been inside the gaming industry in terms of, how much we've been playing games with specific people, how much news that we've been delving into. We know a little bit more than, say, the average person does about video games. So it just makes me kind of sick just to think that I am basically looked upon as a potential prey to big corporate companies in order to, say, try to suck every little bit of cash that I earn into this. It's always an option with this, but each time it seems like there's going to be potentially more type of incentives in order to try to, change the thought process and stuff of maybe wanting to invest inside this and that. But Other than that, I've been rambling on a little bit too long.
It's fine, buddy. No, I mean it's a big thing now, and we've talked about it a few weeks ago. Kind of like this has been something that's going on for a long time now, and this is kind of the year where, like I said, these aren't going to go away. This is going to be a thing, and they're going to continue to kind of push and push and push and see what they can get away with. And when they find the very edge of where they can get to, where people start pushing back and it starts getting bad, then they're going to stop there.
Yes, here it's been a natural progression, like for over the past 10 years.
Yeah,
because think about it, with the introduction of the Xbox 360 and the PS3, there have been strives of things that have been happening to lead us through to this current time in 2017. We had the whole element of like horse DLC back in Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, which that introduced us to cosmetic DLC that was not really much like, which basically seems really tame right now. You're paying some money in order to have a skin on a fucking horse.
Yeah.
But at that time, it was viewed as outrageous and crazy because it wasn't like a typical downloadable content like people have gotten, say, like on PC with expansions and this and that and stuff. It's progressed from cosmetic DLC to online passives to play for multiplayer games. It's basically gone through like the introduction of free-to-play stuff and sort of like a whole microtransaction thing on top of that, afterwards. And now here we are currently in 2017 where it's like, now it's just companies trying to do more predatory tactics with, say, how they manipulate a loot crate and how they're going to insert it and have you spend money on this sort of things. So, with the cost of games being extravagant for these AAA companies, they're finding more and more ways in order to try to trick people into spending what they want them to spend. Which they want, if they had it their way, every single month, every single drop of what you have in sort of your bank account, they want. And they'll try to do it, whatever. But that's just me being like, I think that's just me kind of being paranoid in a certain aspect.
Yeah, well, no, they want to be as profitable as possible. They're big companies. Yeah. They want to make, the key is for them, they want to make money. And like I said, this is kind of a big battle, and I said this a few weeks ago, and I still feel that today. Like, if there's games out there that you want to play that you like to have microtransactions in them, still buy them.
Oh, absolutely.
Because here's, like I said, I'm going to say it again, is that say you refuse to buy Star Wars because of microtransactions, Battlefront 2, and it was like, well, this is my way of showing that I really want that game, but this is my way of showing them that I want microtransactions. Well, they're not going to see that. They're going to look at that game's still going to sell 15, 20 million copies, and they're going to look at those 15, 20 million people and see who bought them, how many people bought microtransactions, how much money they spent on them, recurring users, how many of those 15, 20 actually bought some.
Exactly.
So the people that didn't buy them, they're not going to count that to them. To them, that doesn't matter.
What it would make a difference is if you did buy that game, but did not spend any for microtransactions at all.
Exactly.
That would definitely send more of a stern message than, say, to protest or something of the game. It's like, oh, it has microtransactions on it and stuff. I'm not going to buy it at all.
Yeah.
But if you did buy the game, let's say like a Shadow of War or a Battlefield 2, and you didn't spend anything in terms of microtransactions, if enough of people don't do that, big name companies are going to say, oh God, what the hell? Yeah. That was useless.
And you look at something like NBA 2K18, when that, like, it's been going on for a long time, people getting pissed about it, but this year was like kind of like, like I said, like they pushed over the edge a little bit, so then like, ooh, we got to take some steps back. So I guarantee you next year's going to be way different than this year's. I'm hoping so, at least. But I think they're gonna take some steps back, and they should, because NBA 2K18 is probably the worst game when it comes to bullshit microtransactions. But the thing is, like I said, like we're in this battle with these big gaming companies about microtransactions, but unfortunately, we know way more than most people do. The people that are expending the most money, I guarantee a lot of those people don't listen to the podcast, or they don't really read GameSpot. They don't go to IGN. They're definitely not listening to us. They don't listen to Giant Bomb.
No. These are the type of people that work full time. They probably have a couple different jobs. They probably have maybe minimal time in order to maybe enjoy their off time and stuff. Or if they do or something like that, they just play maybe 1 or 2 games a year,
Yeah.
if not that. And they're going to spend on what they feel is going to be appropriate. They don't think anything more than that.
Yeah. Which, at the same time, if you're okay with spending that money, then I guess spend the money. I mean, is it shitty and all that? Yeah. But for you, if you were somebody that doesn't have a lot of time and you want this to get there faster or whatever, then that's your prerogative, I guess. Like my sister, she has GTA 5. She plays all the time still, and then she buys a new Call of Duty every year. I buy it for her every year for Christmas, and that's it. That's all she buys. And actually, she bought Friday 13th earlier this year. But other than that, she spends a good chunk of money on microtransactions for GTA 5 and the Call of Duties every year, and she's happy with it. She's fine with it. Like, she got this cool stuff she likes. So who am I to sit there and say, like, you're stupid or whatever? I'm not going to say that.
Exactly.
Do I like it? No. I was like, ooh, like that's, it's a tough place to be in. Like, we're personally, like, we gotta, like, that's as far as it really can. I think it should go at this point in time. And the cosmetic stuff, like I said, Overwatch, I think found the best system for it.
I feel that way too.
Yeah, it sucks, and it's still a thing. But they're probably the best example for like how it should be done. It's like, hey, loot boxes, you get one every time you level up. You can spend, you can buy one for $1, or you could, you do the best value thing. You spend $50, you get 60 loot boxes or 75. I don't know how many it is, but it's just all cosmetics and stupid voice lines and costumes and emblems and shit like that. Yeah, I mean, and I forgot to mention this, but when I was playing Assassin's Creed Origins. So they have a currency called Helix that is only, you can only be earned by buying with real money. Like, you spend $5, you get 500. 100 Helix points is $1, and you only get that by buying it with real money. And they have you can buy packs where it has like consumables and crafting material, and they're called time savers. And so you can buy ability points. Which you get an ability point every time you level up for your skill tree. So for $5, you can buy 3 ability points for your skill tree. And the skill tree is fucking huge, and there's a lot of stupid shit in the skill tree. So it feels like it was designed for that, in a way for that. They've had skill trees in the past Assassin's Creed games, though. But a really shitty thing they do is, after you beat the prologue, you finish prologue, they give you 200 Helix points.
What?
Which is just enough to buy the cheapest thing there. So you can either get like, I think it's like ammo or something like that, or you get crafting stuff. So it's basically like, here's a little bit of crack. So then, like, it's basically like getting you in the doorway to, like, ooh, you like that. You like the fact that you got a bunch of crafting materials, so you can get better gear, up your HP or something like that, damage, all that. So you want to spend more money, and I will admit, like, I was like, ooh, for $5 I can get like a bunch of freaking crafting material. And then, like, after I did that, I'm like, ooh, I didn't spend any money, but it's been tempting a couple times. I'm like, ooh, yeah, I kind of want that. That's what they did. It's really shitty. It's disgusting, but it's the thing they did.
That's how they get you.
Yeah, it's like they're the drug dealers giving you that free sample to get you hooked. So yeah, it's gross. It's just you just gotta people gotta stick to if, like, yeah, it's tempting, and they built it purposely for that, and I know that. And like I said, I bought in microtransactions in games. I bought in loot boxes in Overwatch. I bought in skill points in MLB The Show. I bought in NBA 2Ks and the older ones when I used to play them a lot more. And NBA, that's a big reason I don't buy NBA 2K anymore. Is because it became so microtransaction heavy that it kind of ruined the game. Where it's like you progress so slowly that your character was shit unless you put 50 hours into it to become mediocre. Or for $20, you go from being one of the worst players in the league to all of a sudden you're fucking LeBron James dunking on people. So, like, you lose that natural progression of, like, it's a time saver. So it's like, oh well, you didn't really feel like you earned it. So it's like it kind of ruined the game for me in that way. But it's like I don't want to put 50 hours in games just so I can be mediocre. So it's just, yeah, I don't know. It's a tough situation, and like I said, the problem is yeah, we're at war, I guess, for lack of a better term, with these companies. But unfortunately, we're like fighting this. But all the other people over here are like the casual people that only play a handful of games a year or whatever. Even there might be hardcore gamers that do it, but people that don't even think about it, don't know this is a thing that's happening. Really are going to be the ones that are going to buy them the most probably. And yeah, I mean, this is definitely not going to go away in the games like Call of Duty, the big Battlefields, Battlefronts, the big AAA games. But I think you're going to see, I wouldn't be surprised to see smaller games that were doing it, or more hardcore gamer games, I guess.
These microtransactions are here to stay, but it's just but in terms of how they're going to be worked around and stuff, it's going to be, this is pretty much the year where it's an experimental thing with a lot of the loot boxes. You have games that are previously that never had loot boxes all of a sudden incorporating them, like say Rocket League does have some elements where you can use, like I've done this before where I purchased like a little key or something off of PSN with the last remaining things of like PSN money before to unlock a couple of like loot crates or something like that, to where it's like you get little bits of things here and there. But it's just now that the big name companies are working on it to where they are fine-tuning a lot of the microtransaction stuff, which is too far, which is like not enough, which is this way and that way and stuff. I hate it, but at the same time it's like, this is probably going to be something we're going to be having to deal with for a while, but hell, doesn't mean we're going to have to like it or even accept it, you know?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we've been talking about this for a while now, so I think it's time to move on. But yeah, something we got to keep in mind as we go on. But I want to mention one thing real quick. Champions Ballad, I believe is what it's called. The second deal pack for the DLC for Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
We have more of a release window now. They officially put it in the eShop. It's coming out in December.
Oh man.
So yeah, so the real reason we all bought the DLC pack, not for the first part, because fuck that.
Oh my god, the first part was so fucking hard.
Yeah, fuck that. So yeah, that's coming out soon. Hopefully, sounds like we might hear some news here in the next few weeks. Reggie did an interview about it. He didn't really say any details, but said they'll say something soon. So maybe the next couple weeks we'll get some more details on it. But yeah, that's gonna be pretty cool. I got the DLC season pass thing for it, so I am I'm ready for that. I'm ready to jump back into that game. But anyways, I think that's gonna be a show for the week. Well, thank you guys for listening. If you want to hear more from us, we have a Facebook page and group, Drunk Nerds Podcast, on there. Like and join us on Twitter is at Drunk Nerds Pod. Follow us on there, and then also on iTunes. Obviously, we're on there, Drunk Nerds Podcast, and on YouTube, Drunk Nerds Podcast. Subscribe to us on there. Like our videos, please. Leave a comment. We really greatly appreciate that. Do the same on iTunes. Actually, go to iTunes, leave a 5-star review. 4 is fine as well. Leave a comment. It'd be great. We really appreciate it. And last but not least, we're on Drunk Nerds Podcast. Drunk Nerds Podcast is our channel on twitch.tv. Follow us on there. Yeah, follow us on there and send friend requests. Friends are cool. I did a shit ton of streaming from the Gingerboy 507 channel and also the Drunk Nerds Podcast channel on Twitch. On Twitch during Extra Life. So there's a bunch of videos on there. We also I put them all the videos I did are on our YouTube page as well, Drunk Nerds Podcast. So a lot of me playing video games and me being very tired, if you want to check those out. But other than that, thank you guys once again for listening. I was your host. I was Tyler.
And I have been Colonel Gables. So until next time, everyone, I hope you have yourself a good day. Honestly, crack yourself something sweet. Enjoy yourself. And pretty much just have a good week.
Yeah. And don't smoke crack.
Exactly.
Bye, guys.
Crack yourself a fine one.
Yeah. Unless you're cracking a cold one with the boys, then it's okay.
Excuse me. You too many beers there. Anyways, we're on iTunes now, so go on there, check us out, and if you like us, leave us a review, and we'll even shout you out. And Jack will send you his credit card number.